Could it be? But me, your man, Louis T. Welcome to Wildcard Weekend Overtime. Bills, Texans, epic way to kick off the 2019-2020 NFL playoffs. Wow, what a football game. So many things to get to. We don't have a lot of time because the overtime is bleeding into the little bit of pregame we had between the next kickoff of Titans at the New England Patriots. So I'll jump right into it. What a hell of a game. That's a devastating loss if you're the Buffalo Bills. You had opportunity after opportunity to win this football game. We'll get to them in a second. But to the victors go the spoils. We start with the Houston Texans and what they did to come out on top 22-19 in overtime to get this victory. Deshaun Watson was masterful. Only 5 incompletions in this game. Started off very slowly, took 7 sacks. The Bills, give them credit defensively. Leslie Frazier and his group came ready to play. Excuse me. And was able to get to Watson early in this game. Bills jumped out to a 13-0 lead. It got as high as 16-0 after the halftime deficit of 13-0. And then, I hate that they make so much of J.J. Watt. I love him. He's the future Hall of Fame football player, but you knew they were going to really ride his jock coming back from the injury. And rightfully so. The man, we thought he was done for the year. You tear your pec, generally, we don't see you the rest of that year. Well, he came back. And he actually had an impact. I didn't think he was going to have an impact. So I was like, man, will y'all just chill, pipe down with the J.J. Watt star spotlight treatment that you're going to give him tonight. He's not going to have an impact. And then his sack that I thought really changed the tide of the game. Bills up 13-0, driving, looking for a touchdown that essentially would have put this game out of reach. He gets the sack on third down, forces the Bills to have to settle for a field goal, makes it 16-0. Still down 2 scores, but at that moment, it just felt like the tide changed in the game. Texans respond immediately after that sack with a touchdown drive. They get the 2-point conversion, and just like that, it was a brand new ball game, and the Texans would score 19 unanswered points, all really on the back of Deshaun Watson. He was extraordinary. Nuke started to wake up in the second half of the game, as he often does, started making plays. I told you I did not trust them without Will Fuller. You saw the offense, even though Watson's numbers look really solid, the offense was stagnant for much of the game, and that's the byproduct. And Watson missed some things, too. I thought that there was a deep shot there to Kenny Stills over the top where he's one-on-one with the safety. That's one you got to have, and he missed. And so there were opportunities for some big plays to be made, but at the end of the day, Watson made just about every play you could make in this game. The deep throw to to Hopkins down the sidelines. The run for the touchdown. How about that run dragging a couple of Bills defenders on his back into the end zone? Unbelievable. The 2-point conversion, had no business picking up that 2-point conversion. None whatsoever. Great block on the play by Duke Johnson. He was kind of pushed into that block. Nonetheless, it was his block because Tremaine Edmonds, who was a stud all game long, a lot of the shadowing and spying of Deshaun Watson in this game was done by Tremaine Edmonds, and he could not get outside of him. Okay, so that play, Edmonds had him dead to rights, and then Duke Johnson out of nowhere makes that block, allows Watson to extend the football into the end zone for the 2-point conversion. Watson was magnificent in the second half of this football game, and then the play in overtime was just utterly ridiculous. It's the kind of plays that legends are made of, and you heard them talk about what Dabo Sweeney said about Deshaun Watson when he was coming into the draft, about him being the closest thing he's seen to Michael Jordan. Well, that was a Michael Jordan-esque play right there. 2 defenders converging on you. There's no way he's supposed to escape this hit that he's going to take here. This should be the 8th sack of the game for the Bills, and a punt that should be resulting after that sack. Instead, he spins out of 2 defenders, extends the play, finds Tywan Jones in the flats, and he does the rest, getting them well into chip shot field goal range for Kamari Fairbairn, and that was all she wrote. What a game by Watson. What a game by this Texans football team to show the resolve. Look, they've been down like this before. And in my head, I was saying, here we go again with another one of these Texans duds to kick off Wildcard Weekend at home, where they get their asses whooped and handed to them in their own building. Here we go again. Bills are going to quietly send these boys back home packing, and it's going to be a nice, quiet, ho-hum, off into the night type of performance for the Texans. We've seen this before from them. So I wasn't going to be shocked if we saw it again. And they rallied from 16 down and won this football game. Almost blew it in regulation. All right. Almost blew it in overtime, but they had the resolve to get it done and win this football game. They're going to advance to play most likely the Baltimore Ravens next week in the divisional round. Big win for the Texans. That's been one of their problems, is getting out of Wildcard weekend. Since Deshaun Watson has been their quarterback, they've had trouble getting to the second round of the postseason. This is going to be his first time in the divisional round. Let's see what he's able to do next week, but this is a big win for the Houston Texans. We'll see if they're able to. Now, all of a sudden, it seems like they have 9 lives. Let's see if they're able to take that into Baltimore and have a much different outcome than the first time when these two teams played, when it was 41-7. Now you get to the Buffalo Bills. It broke my heart watching this because you know I'm a Josh Allen guy. And Josh did some shit in this game that was a little head scratching at times. And I said, Josh, I will not allow them to make this about some of the stuff you did in this game. They're going to talk about the good things you did, not the lateral, not the 50-yard chuck to the fullback down the field. They're not going to talk about any of that because you're going to make sure they understand your greatness. And I thought he did some really good things in this football game. Now, look, the boneheaded stuff, I can't have it. And one of his biggest bugaboos this season has been fumbling. And he got away with the first one. His knee was barely down. I said, Josh, you got to hold on to the rock. They've got 2 guys that touch the football a ton for them, that fumble a bunch, and Devin Singletary and Josh Allen. I said, Josh, you've got to hold on to the rock. And I was hoping that first fumble that was called back after replay overturned it was going to serve as a warning to him. I got to protect the rock. Obviously, I was wrong on that sack, or it wasn't a sack, on that tackle by Whitney Merciless as he was trying to get into up the field and escape the pocket. That was a game-changing play as well, because you're still up at that point, 16-11. You've still got the lead. And even if you have to punt there, there's still an opportunity for your defense, who played extraordinarily well all game long, having an opportunity to keep these guys out of the end zone. Instead, you fumble the football, short field. They're not able to get the stop. And it just like that. Or was that the one where they ended up having to settle for the field goal? I can't remember, but it was a big play nonetheless. You know, and so he's got to be better with the football in terms of protecting it. But I thought outside of that, he damn near rushed for 100 yards in this game. He caught a touchdown pass on a beautifully executed play. I would have liked to have seen John Brown throw a better ball there so he doesn't have to take that shot at the end. But nonetheless, scores a touchdown, catching, almost has 100 yards rushing, does a lot with his legs. Similar to Deshaun Watson, his ability to escape the pocket and extend plays. That extension and that throw to Dawson Knox on the 3rd down, that was huge in overtime. Looked like that was going to spark them to getting into field goal range. I hated the call on Cody Ford, that peel back. That was so trash. Oh, my God. I did not like that call. It's the rule. I've seen it called before, but I just hate that rule. If he's not helmet-to-helmet contact, if it's not some serious forcible contact where a guy gets injured, it's the playoffs. You got to eat that flag. That's a terrible call in that situation, but that's nor here nor there. The Bills had opportunities. They had the Texans twice. Not once, twice, in 3rd and long situations, and they couldn't get off the field. You can't give up 3rd and 18. You can't do it. You cannot play that soft and give up 19 on 3rd and 18. It might have even been 3rd and 21, whatever it was. You can't give that up, okay? Then you can't give up the escape. When you dialed up the perfect pressure, you got a guy come scot-free, you got 2 guys converging on the quarterback. You cannot give that up at that moment. And so they had every opportunity, and then I want to criticize the play calling. I thought they were way too conservative. They dominated the first half of this game. They dominated the early stages of the 3rd, and I felt like this game should be 23-0. You know what it felt like? It felt like the Fiesta Bowl. It felt like Ohio State dominating Clemson for much of the first half, but you look up and it's only 16-0, and you're like, man, this should be 23 or 27 or 20 or 24-0, and instead it's just 16. And that's how I felt about Buffalo, because they got really conservative in some spots. And look, watching Josh Allen do some of the things he did in the later stages of this game, in the latter stages, maybe that's part of the reason they got a little conservative, but I don't buy into that. You play to win the game, as a man wisely told me once before. And as I've always said to you guys, going back always, scared money don't make money, okay? All right? You got to roll the dice, kiss it, roll it, and hope it comes up nice. And they refuse to roll the dice. And I was looking for them to just say, hey, Josh, go win it for us. Money, money, yeah, yeah. Money, money, yeah, yeah. Let's get it. I thought they were going to turn Josh loose. And instead, on 3rd and 3, a handoff to Singletary, he gets tackled. You got to punt the football. On 3rd down, I think it was another run. You got to settle for a field goal. The play calling in this game was frustrating because Josh Allen can throw the football. He can throw the football. He made some big throws in this game from the pocket time and time again. Let him throw the football. Now, the sack that he took in regulation, it almost cost him the game. They had no business getting to overtime. And credit the defense for getting that stop on 4th and 1 to get the Bills back the football, to give them a chance to get to overtime. But you can't take that sack there. But again, how about somebody block? The whole left side of the offensive line, nobody touched Whitney Merciless. And then, oh my God, Devin Singletary, what the hell are you doing on that play? Literally, he just opened up the door. Ole! And just allowed him straight to Josh. Josh tries to pivot out of the pocket and runs right into a sack. I'm not going to kill him on that. I would like him to not take that sack, but I would also like someone to goddamn block Whitney Merciless. They rushed 4, and you got 6-man protection, and nobody touches him. That can't happen. Anyway, a valiant effort by the Bills. I thought that the play calling on offense was creative, but at the same time was not aggressive enough. And I thought that hindered their ability to really put their foot on the Texans' throat in this game. I thought that Allen did some really good things. I thought he did some boneheaded things too. He'll learn from this. It's his first time in the postseason. I thought he showed moxie, grit, and poise at times. And I really loved, you know how I feel about Josh Allen. And this Bills defense, man, that's who I feel for the most in this game because they did what they needed to do. And unfortunately, I get it. Those 2 plays, that can't happen. On those 2 third downs that they converted on that final drive to lose the game, you can't have those happen. But outside of that, I thought the defense did their part. And I felt like the offense, think about this. You get the turnover by Hopkins, where he's got the football out here like a damn loaf of bread, and it's poked out by Tre'Davious White. And you got great field position. And the Bills go 3 and out. And I told you the play calling on that particular possession really stuck in my craw because I thought they were really passive-aggressive there. Even the drive right before halftime, even though that was a good damn football to Duke Williams, I'd like Duke to catch that one. I really would. However, I thought that was a little bit lackadaisical, almost as if they were conceding a field goal there. Now, again, Josh took the shot to the end zone, and God, Duke needed to catch that. He also had a really good game, did Duke Williams. I'm not going to beat him up. He was outstanding in this game. So was Singletary. So, the Bills, I just thought for a team that this is what they've been all year long, a team that battles. They're tough. They go on the road. They don't care about a road environment. They're unfazed. They gave it a run. They had opportunities, but at the end of the day, their playoff inexperience showed in this game. Too many mistakes. The penalty, again, I hate that call, but it's the right call. But I hate that call on Cody Ford. But you can't have that happen. Cody didn't need to hit him right there. But it's hard to tell a football player to turn it off. You are aggressive at all times on the field. You see a guy chasing after your quarterback, your first instinct is to go hit him. I'm not going to beat Cody Ford. Eat that flag. Eat it. Don't throw that flag. But that's nor here nor there. You take the sack in regulation. You make some boneheaded decisions. This game was there for the taking for the Bills, and they just didn't know how to go and grasp it. The fact that this is a team, they've been in the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 years, but this is the first time with Josh Allen. And much of these guys that are on this team, this is their first time in the postseason, and it's just a shame that they couldn't find a way to win. You're up 16-0. You're dominating the football game, and then it just seemed like the bottom fell out. But give them credit. They could have went into a corner and hid and lost this game in regulation. They did not do that. They got the stops that they needed to get. They got the field goal that they needed to get. How about Stephen Hauschka in this game? 4 for 4 on field goals. I would have loved to have seen him get a 5th opportunity, but it did not come. And so big win for the Texans, as I mentioned before. They've had issues in Wildcard weekend. They get it done. We'll see if they're able to make something of this win next week, most likely on the road at Baltimore. So, do have a super chat that I want to read from Double A. He says, crazy game. Hope all of them are this exciting. Skull. Yeah, I'm disappointed because I thought the Bills would win this football game. And I honestly wanted to see them against the Ravens because they played the Ravens extremely tough the first time around. And they had the team speed defensively to, I think, really slow down Lamar Jackson and make it interesting. I think the Texans are going to get their doors blown off yet again next week. If they play the way they played today, There's no way they can play with the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. I just don't see it happening. But playoffs are a funny thing, man. Just because you do one thing in the regular season does not mean you're going to do that same thing come postseason time. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Let's get to a few comments, and then we'll get out of here. DMV fan, RG3 hashtag smoking that 3 says, man, the Texans should have kicked that field goal. I thought in the moment I said, I understand why they went for it. Look, revisionist history here. All right, hindsight is 2020. Yeah, you kick the field goal after you don't get it on 4th and 1. If you can't get a yard, then you didn't deserve to win the game in that moment. They were trying to win the game. At that point, the Bills have no more timeouts. If you convert that quarterback sneak, which is like a 75-80% probability at that point, you complete that quarterback sneak, you win the game, you take knees. I understand, because even if you kick the field goal, there's still enough time. There was about a minute left in the game. You're only up 6. You know, what happens if John Brown gets loose on a slant or, a dig route, there's a missed tackle and he takes it the distance and you lose this game by 1. I totally understood what they were doing there. I didn't have a problem with it, not kicking the field goal. DMV fan 123 says, that was the best, worst football game of all time. It was a really good game. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I don't agree that was a bad game, but it was a really good game. Anyway, Protect Sports says, wow, that game was crazy. It was. Indeed, it was. Let's see. J-Cam Man says, you told me they were good. What the heck? I thought that the Bills were going to win that football game, and they had it. I mean, you're up 16. You did everything you needed to do. And again, that's the sign of a team that just hadn't been there before. You're up 16. You're dominating them, and you couldn't put it away. And then you had chances after you were able to send this game miraculously to overtime. You had your chances. And again, just a young team that hadn't been there before. It's a shame. JCamman99 also says, no excuse for the Bills not to get in the field goal range in overtime. We had a wide open field on 3rd down. I agree. You got to, again, I did not love the play calling, but you got to find a way to get in the field goal range. I felt like the opportunities were there. And again, you got to credit the Texans defense, but you also got to say that the Bills, some of this was self-inflicted for sure. Absolutely. Ali Sai says, so glad we won't have to listen to Booger's nonsense anymore, but did the Texans-Bills exchange offensive lines? Allen got no time in the pocket. It seemed that way at times, especially towards the end of the game. It was ridiculous how much pressure he was under. And yes, I am with you on Booger. I mean, this is the same clown that said, Joe Tessitore asked him at the start of the 3rd quarter, hey, what do you do to get back into this game? Well, first thing I do is I up the tempo and I bench Carlos Hyde. Really? Bench Carlos Hyde? Shut up. Okay, shut up. And then Carlos Hyde makes a big block late in the game, caught the touchdown pass. He did have the drop down by the end zone on the option pitch, but redeemed himself the very next play to catch the ball and get into the end zone. He ran tough in that second half. What the hell is Booger talking about? Anyway, glad we don't have to deal with that for the remainder of the season. Larry G's the best says, so the Texans playing the Ravens. Unless the Titans beat the Patriots, yes, they will be playing the Ravens. If the Texans, or if the Titans win over the Patriots, then they would then go to Baltimore, and the Texans would then go to Kansas City, a place where they've had success as early as this season, where they went, I think it was week 4, they went to Kansas City and won, if I'm not mistaken. Ali Sai says, damn, I started 0-1, again, shaking my head. Why would the Bills go for it on 4th and 23 in overtime with 3 timeouts remaining? The 4th and 3, that wasn't in overtime. That was at the end of regulation, when it would have been a 60-yard field goal to tie the game up at 19, and they elected to go for it. Allen takes a really bad sack, but again, he had no time. Again, the offensive line was not good down the stretch of this game. Late stages of the 4th and into overtime, I thought the offensive line was sketchy at best, but at the end of the day, it still worked out for them. The defense got the big stop on the 4th and 1, got the Bills back to football. They got in the field goal range and went to overtime. Yeah. Anyway, Azad Bilal says, Deshaun Watson, baby. I said he was the most pressure. He had the most pressure on him in Wildcard weekend, and boy, did he deliver regardless of who the Texans play. It's going to be a great quarterback duel versus Kansas City or Baltimore. Well said, Azad. Well said. And yes, he did have a lot of pressure on him, and he delivered for sure. Terrence J says, are you streaming live after the Pats game? Absolutely, I am. Craig Smith says, yo, Lou, you can't convince me Allen wasn't on acid trip that last 15 minutes of the game. Look, that's my boy. I'm going to defend him to the end, but you can't do some of the things he did down the stretch. The throw to the fullback, or as Booger called it, a YOLO throw, you can't do that. Now, if that was Duke Williams, yeah, I'm all for it, man. Not to your fullback, Patrick DeMarco. No. And then the toss, the pitch, I understand what he was thinking there, but nah, bruh. First of all, I need you to see the pitch. I need you to be in a position where you can easily pitch it. Because if it works and Dawson Knox runs an additional 15 yards, we're all saying what a heads up play that was. But you can't do it as you're falling to the ground and being tackled and just flicking into the air. And at that point, you can't know that there's not a Texans defender in hot pursuit. So I'm going to defend him as much as I can. I can't defend those two plays. I can't defend the fumble that Whitney Merciless forced at midfield. I can't defend that. He's got to be better with the football. Ball security is paramount, especially in the postseason. He didn't take care of the football late stages of the game. Luckily, it didn't cost him. He should have thrown 2 interceptions. If Bradley Roby could catch, there was a pick 6 in the first half of this game, and there was a pick late in the game that would have ended it at 19-16 before we even got to overtime. So he's got to be better, but I thought he did some really good things, especially for his first career postseason start. Derek B says, I can't believe the Bills are going to lose this game. It seemed that way. It was crazy. Bills lost, then the Texans seemed like they were on the verge of losing, then the Bills were on the verge of losing, then the Texans, and it finally ended up being the Bills who weren't able to get it done. What a game. What a start to the playoffs. What a start to Wildcard Weekend. Hopefully, that's just the tip of the iceberg, and we're in store for more of this kind of football. But anyway, what a game to kick off Wildcard Weekend. Texans survive and advance with a 22-19 victory over the Buffalo Bills as we now turn our attention to the Titans at the New England Patriots. I'll be here after the game meets its conclusion, breaking it all down live on Wildcard Weekend Overtime. I'm your man, Louis T, signing off. Remember, if it's not your man T, it's not the best NFL coverage it could be. Also, make sure you like this video. Subscribe to the Louis T Network if you haven't already done that. Check out the newest edition of the Louis T Network podcast. It's actually up on YouTube. I did it live. So check that out. Really good, fun episode. That's available on the channel as well. 67th episode of the Louis T Network podcast. And also, if you can donate, please do to the Louis T Network by either PayPal, by Super Chat, or by Cash App. And the Cash App is simply $ Louis T Network, and PayPal, all of that down in the description below. So check that out. And we will be back to break down the Titans at the Patriots. I'm 0 for 1 after that gut-wrenching loss, but it was a hell of a ball game. I'll see you guys at the conclusion of Titans Pats. Enjoy the football. You know I will. And then we'll reconvene and break it all down here on the Louis T Network. See you guys then.
Louis T Network.